We've grown 9,000 members in Pride Network over the last 8 months. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't call people out, but call people into action, call people into advocacy.
All of these wonderful women up here, everybody is willing to give back and share to help everybody else grow as well.
I don't know the actual numbers, but we do have a very, very large female presence in our technology team and then across the corporate company.
If you have somebody in your life, like they mentioned yesterday, if they are not supporting you, it is time to cut the dead weight. And the Women's Impact Network here at EXP is cutting dead weight, and we're rising up together and finding our leaders. And as we grow this massive, monumental moment within EXP, I want you all to know that this is the smallest room you will ever be in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our special Women's History Month live show. We're here to celebrate, empower, and inspire women in real estate through EXP's Women's Impact Network. You know, in the real estate industry, the vast majority of real estate agents are female. And we have such an opportunity to make a difference through collaborating and inspiring with one another. So given that March is Women's History Month, we thought that we would do something special to celebrate all of you. So throughout the month of March, we're going to do this live show every Wednesday, and we're calling it Win Wednesday. So Women's Impact Network, Win. This is our Win Wednesday show. So we're going to invite guests who are amazing leaders in our organization to share some of their story and how they are leaning into leadership and making a difference. And our very first guest is definitely somebody who has contributed so much to the Women's Impact Network and to our EXP community at large. I am thrilled to bring onto the camera to join me the executive chair of the Women's Impact Network, Jill Leberknight from Austin, Texas. Jill, thank you for joining us.
Hello, family. Hello, Wendy. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be here with you this morning. You know, being with you and just having some time to chit chat is just the way I want to start off my week, and with my WIN family.
Yes. Well, Jill, I mean, where do we even start? But let's, as they say, like start at the beginning. So if we go back to the sort of spring and summer of 2024, there was kind of a loosely organized community here at EXP of female leaders who were, I would say, trying to figure out kind of like how they could contribute to one another, how they could serve one another, how we could serve sort of the larger EXP community. And we really put out a call to action and said, like, who wants to volunteer to help drive this community forward? And you were one of the many volunteers who stepped forward. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you hear about Women's Impact Network at EXP, and what motivated you to step forward?
Yes. You know, at the time I was a part of a small group of women that were daydreaming out greater fellowship and community connection at EXP as our organization grows, and being in an industry that is more than 60% female led. Mm-hmm. We were seeing an increase in women wanting to do their natural huddle nature behavior of coming together and encouraging and supporting each other. And so I was just a part of a small group of women that were daydreaming out what that would look like. Very much like many of our strategic partners in the real estate industry, from the Black real estate professionals to the National Association of Hispanic and Asian real estate professionals and Women's Council. We were daydreaming out a next evolution of women's collaboration in real estate, in the future of real estate. And so I was really impassioned and it was a strong focus of mine to want to support women in fostering a really holistic and impactful community, as we all do here at EXP. We lead and lean from collaboration.
Yes, community and collaboration are such powerful leadership traits, right? And I think that we all, embrace those naturally, but then also very, very thoughtfully as well in bringing that together. So I think, though, that much of what we are learning together, you just did as an example, in that one of the things that we have been learning throughout our own education at Women's Impact Network, which we do various education programs, is that we tend to sell ourselves short. And I think in your description, you just did that, because not only did you volunteer and were part of this community, but you stepped into a major leadership role and said, I'm going to lead from the front the Women's Impact Network. And you're our first ever chairperson of the Women's Impact Network. So you kind of undersold that a little bit.
Well, one of our first major training series that we're doing is with Betsy Myers and digging into the brand new groundbreaking research on imposter syndrome and gender bias. And it's been really impactful to be with a room full of 50 women who are digging in to the imposter syndrome and how it has played out historically, and how we naturally as women encourage each other to do the very thing that you just did. And that's, to me, this series that we've been going through is an example of how we intend to support and nurture and foster growth, personal and professional growth amongst each other, which is from the inside out. We know that as women, we can be stronger leaders if we dig down deep and better understand the things and nurture our souls and our spirit and our passions, so that we can be the best leaders that we all desire to be. And that begins with female alliances, male alliances, and understanding what makes us tick and what trips us up.
Yeah. And part of why we wanted to do this series as part of Women's History Month is, it is a month to celebrate just the enormous impact women have had, in history, right? And just the changes that women have led. And there's still so much opportunity, right? We're still living in a world that, women are paid disproportionately less for comparable work than, men, where, women in leadership roles is less than, men in leadership roles. So, there's a lot of work to do to sort of get to equality, but creating communities like this is an important part of the individual contribution that we all have. So you mentioned education. Tell us a little bit more about some of the initiatives of the Women's Impact Network for hopefully new listeners that may not be aware, because I get that question almost every day is, I didn't know, how do I become a member? So let's try to drive some membership here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we have received such an enormous response from our EXP family membership to our new initiative that we, our first applications for our formal board had over 300 applicants. And the board has been just deep in planning and building and visioning out. We are getting ready to launch our 5-year strategic plan that really aims to creating a sustainable global network. Which includes launching our ambassador program that really allows us to cascade out this mission, because we call it, this is not just a mission. We are on this is a movement. The Women's Impact Network is a movement to vision out the future of real estate for women. And our programming is supporting personal growth, professional growth. We have masterclass series. We have tea time, weekly tea time with board members. We have in-person events, but our ambassador team is allowing us to expand our leadership in the way that we collaborate together as women, so that we can deliver more of this programming all across the nation and ultimately globally. So we are, aiming to have 60% of EXP membership in 5 years match the percentage of women realtors in our profession. Yeah. So you can find us on Workplace, join our Workplace group. We have a Workplace chat, get with one of our board members who are happy to share with you the many programs and stuff that we're getting ready to launch. We've got a lot of creative stuff happening during Women's History Month, our museum, and other programming that board members are going to be doing. And we also want to remind folks, this is a staff initiative too. Yeah. This is a combination of agents and staff. So we're getting to collaborate with staff members that are creatively supporting us behind the scenes and raising our awareness of how we can all support and lift each other up.
That's awesome. You mentioned a couple key things that I want to pull out there. So you did a great plug for membership and getting involved in Workplace. So I get that question a lot, is where do I find Women's Impact Network? So start with Workplace, and thank you for giving us that plug. You also mentioned the Women's History Museum, which probably not a lot of people know about, but we've actually built a museum in EXP World that you can go take your kids, take the family, and take a tour on the screen through the Women's History Month Museum.
Yes, y'all, EXP has been building the past couple years. They've had an extraordinary Black History Museum, Women's History Museum, Hispanic. And I had homeschooled my son, and it was literally college level education in these museums. So it is a vacation, a history vacation within our frame world.
That's awesome. And, Women's History Month, and particularly, our conversation so far has been a lot about our role as female leaders. And certainly that is an emphasis for, our community. But when we think about our industry, right, and the housing market, as females, single female home buyers last year outbought any other category in the market. So there were more single women buyers than single men buyers. So it is important as real estate professionals to understand, your clients, and that is, just ties directly into our mission here at the Women's Impact Network. I was floored to find out that it wasn't until the early 1970s, which is not that long ago, that a woman could have her own mortgage and sign a deed and record ownership of a property. So, as much as we've had lots of progression, there's still lots to do, and understanding kind of that current dynamic is part of the education and awareness that we want to bring about through the Women's Impact Network.
Absolutely. I know we're facing a lot of change and evolution in our real estate industry, and better understanding the role that women play in real estate investing and financial decisions is front and center with a lot of analysts and economists. So I think it's time that we help elevate the story and daydream out the future for how we want women to be included in the homeownership story in our nation.
So excited about all of that, and all of the work that you do. And this month is going to be fun. We've got a lot of exciting things. So this is our kickoff of Win Wednesday. Thank you for being here with us to kick off Win Wednesday. Thank you for leading the Women's Impact Network and everything that you do. If any of you listening have any questions for Jill or myself, drop them into the chat or reach out directly to either one of us on Workplace. We would be happy to chat with you. And Jill, we just so appreciate your time and your leadership.
Thank you for the support that you and Renee bring to this organization. And what I always leave folks with is, don't isolate yourself. Find community. Come and connect with us. If you are looking for a community to connect with in a deep, meaningful way, the Women's Impact Network is here to be in fellowship with you.
Thank you so much, Jill. Now it's time for our She Sells, She Wins coaching moment. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into some leadership strategies that will help you take your career to the next level. And we couldn't have a better guest to share some insights and advice with all of us than Elizabeth Riley. Elizabeth, welcome.
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited about this.
I'm so excited about this. Elizabeth, you have been with us at Women's Impact Network since day one, and you've been with us at EXP for the last decade. Yeah. How amazing is that?
It's a little surreal, actually, because it doesn't seem, 10 years is a long time, but it doesn't feel that way. And I just really believe that when you're where you're supposed to be, and you're loving what you're doing, it's not a job, and it flies by. So it's been a blessing for sure.
Oh, well, you have been a blessing to so many in our community. And I tease the 10 year, because you're celebrating your 10-year anniversary with EXP in May. You also celebrated being a 10-time Icon agent and having 10,000 agents in your direct organization. Like the only person in history to hold that triple 10x achievement. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm just grateful that we have a company that allows us to succeed in so many different ways, because success looks different for each of us. And it's been really fun to be a part of the journey.
Oh, well, you have been such an amazing contributor. And what I have in getting to know you over the last year, one of the things that I have so taken is you always lead from a place of contribution, of how can I support? How can I bring value? What can I share? You're always pouring into the community so much. Tell us where that comes from and how that has evolved for you as a leader.
It's interesting because the way you are, you don't really realize the impact that can make with others. And as I've grown and I've grown as a leader, I've recognized that a little bit more. We all still have our own insecurities and our own imposter syndrome at times. And so I truly believe in surrounding yourself with people that people believe in us more than we believe in ourselves sometimes. And I've recognized that looking back, and I want to be that same person for others. I grew up in a very unique household where we had 140 foster children in 20 years. And I just remember my mom being the servant leader and us all pouring in different ways and just always being available to help or needing to help or situations that would come up. And I just think as I've looked back over my growing up years and my college years and my professional years, I see a trend, and I see that is just how I've shown up. And maybe that's my disc personality. I'm a high S, but and the way I show up in my business as well, because I really if I treat my clients like my one and only, the rest is going to come. And I think I've seen the success I've had because of that attitude. But it fills my soul when we all just lock arms and lift others as we climb, and when we're all winning together. And I just show up that way each and every day as much as I can.
Yes. Well, you show up a lot, and it has a tremendous impact. For the listeners that are joining us today, when you think of kind of that one thing that you focus on daily, like when you start your day, like we all talk about morning routines and all that
Right.
kind of stuff, is there one thing that you say, this is my non-negotiable every day that I know I have to make sure I do this?
My days are usually I love when people ask this because they think I have this whole system and process, and I'm a mom of 4. And so if you can imagine, not every day is going to be the same. What I will say is we made some changes in our household where that first hour of every morning now has freed me up, where I'm not having to get kids to school here and there and running around. And it allows me to just sit in quiet and go through my emails and go through my day and get organized for what's to come. Because in real estate, Wendy, not every day is the same, which I think is why so many of us are addicted to the industry. But I need that first hour just to unwind, recoup, see what's coming up, and see what fire drills I have, and just get organized for the day. But I would say for me, that first hour is crucial.
Yeah, I'm very similar. My day start at 5, from 5 to 6. It's coffee and my time, right? Like getting organized. I do the same thing, go through chats, go through emails, look at the day, but that having that time to just kind of get ready for the rest of the day is
the coffee is important. I will say the coffee is important as well.
Yes, the coffee is definitely a pivotal part of that morning routine. So we were together just recently at an EXP event, a mastermind event. And following the event, you posted a post on social, sort of reflecting on your key takeaway from that event. And it spoke to my heart. So I would love to ask you to just share like what that post was and what your feelings are currently. This is just really days old. So this is like real time, but tell us a little bit about like how you walked away from that event thinking.
Full disclosure, I had just come off of a very intimate mastermind with 13 people for 3 days. And we did a lot of self-reflecting and not only in life, but our business and how we want to show up differently. And we tell ourselves false narratives a lot. And I think when you keep telling yourself that over and over and over, you start believing it. And quite frankly, I've been here 10 years. I've been in the industry 20, but I've been in EXP 10 years. And I found myself getting a little bit comfortable, right? And I talk to people all the time about being uncomfortable is where the growth comes. And I recognize it was this aha moment going, oh, I think I've been a little hypocritical because I'm saying, okay, get uncomfortable, get on the other side of comfort. Don't worry about the fear or use that as fuel. But then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm being comfortable, right? And that really came to the surface right before that event at EXPCon. So I walked into those meetings a little bit different because what I started telling myself is I hadn't made an impact. I hadn't done what I could do because I know there's so much more. And I truly am the person that I want every single person to feel connected and feel joy and be a part of what we're doing because I so believe in this company. And I realized by me being comfortable, I wasn't showing up in the right way. And I was playing too small. And for me, it doesn't mean I want to make all this money or have these different goals for production or these agents or what have you. My thinking small and not showing up in the right way was, where do I need to see people and pull them up and elevate them in ways that I hadn't? Why was I letting my insecurities and my imposter syndrome, which I realized we all tell ourselves all these stories and we see all the success. We're so good, especially in those rooms, Wendy. That first room where you have the top attractors, the second room I was blessed to be in as the top producers because I truly lead with production. But when you walk in those rooms, it's super easy to be insecure and you see all the success and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm less than. Yeah. But then you realize and remember behind all the success are all the failures. And none of us are really showing the failures. And the failures are where the lessons are. The failures are where the stories are. The failures are where the growth is. And walking into those rooms, I realized I've been letting the failures hold me back. I've been letting all of these things hold me back, and I've been playing small. And this company is here to make sure none of us play small because it's making it's changing lives. And I know that's so cliche that some people are like, oh, it's changing lives. Our company truly is changing lives because of one idea that Glenn had, and he was solving for a problem he had, trying to make it better for his agents. And when you have leadership like that, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to recognize that. I need to replicate that in my way because everybody's going to be, you're drawn to different personalities for different reasons. And by me playing small and stepping back and instead of stepping forward and owning what I've done and owning what I know I can do to help others, it's not being grateful for the opportunity Glenn gave me 10 years ago. And I recognize that in the moment.
Oh, I mean, so much goodness in what you just shared. But I think that Like it resonated with me. And, Glenn and Leo are such inspirational leaders, and they encourage all of us, right, to not play small and to build the size business and the dream for your life that you aspire to build. And you said it at the top that success looks different for all of us.
Right.
And I think that sometimes we hold ourselves back when our version or our picture of success isn't the same as somebody else's. So then we say, well, maybe mine isn't enough to share. Maybe I'm not enough to share.
Right.
And I think that your insight is that we are enough. It is enough, and that we should all be sharing and get uncomfortable with that to get comfortable with it, and then go to the next level.
Absolutely. And I came off of the weekend before and those 2 days so inspired. And Wendy, you're an amazing leader. So I want to give you credit because you did mention Glenn and Leo, and they're incredible. I think our leadership team is where it needs to be, right? As a baby company, we've been building and growing, and leadership changes. Leadership needs change over time. But I really think, oh my gosh, look at the synergies. Look at the power that we all have in a positive way. And you're a big part of that. So I want to make sure to recognize you and say thank you, because we love having you at the helm and doing all the things you're doing and thinking different, which is so fun too, because our company, we're paving the way. We're doing things nobody else has done. And it's when we see other companies trying to replicate or try to emulate, it's flattering. And what I've tried to remind people is don't get stuck in that. It's going to be messy. And Glenn and Leo and you are all about, hey, we're going to move this forward because it's changing lives. It's impacting businesses. It's impacting individuals, no matter what that looks like. And, you guys are a great example for us as leaders too. We want to be great leaders for others, but we also need to have great examples. And so that's what you all are for us. But I just think it's so exciting because of what's going on. This is a huge opportunity in the industry. Everybody came off a really challenging year last year. And to see us just charging forward, being positive, creating opportunities it's easy to get behind that. And so now it's my opportunity to stand up differently and say, okay, what can I do in my authentic way? Yes. Right? Because so many of us are like, well, I need to be like them or I need to be like that. No, we don't. We all have our gifts and our strengths that we need to lead with. And those are the people that they're going to be attracted to us for us. And they're going to be able to be relatable because they see us showing up in the right way and that we're not on this pedestal. We're just like them. We put our shoes on the same way. We put our pants on the same way, and we're here to support and lead because we all own this company. And when one wins, we all win. And that's the beauty of EXP overall.
It sure is. So let me close out our talk with my favorite Elizabeth Riley quote. Okay. And I'm going to ask you to share with everyone like what you mean when you say this. And my favorite quote that I borrow from you all the time is, "It's messy before it's beautiful." And I've heard you say this and guide various scenarios and conversations by anchoring around that quote. So what does that quote mean to you?
Well, I wish I could take credit for that quote. That came from a mentor of mine named Phil Jones with exactly what to say. And when he said that the first time, it gave me permission in a different way, because I think so many times we are getting ready to get ready, or, you hear progress, not perfection, but we get stuck in the details and in the weeds, and then we don't do anything. And so it's more of a permission of, okay, it's going to be messy as we work this together. It's got to be, we're bringing it together. And EXP was messy early on, right? And so it's just giving permission, and I'm giving myself that grace and permission. And I say it a lot because I feel like if it made me feel that way, how many others will it make feel? And what action will people get into understanding, okay, I don't have it all together, but I'm going to do something. It's one foot in front of the other. So I love that saying as well. I say it often to myself, but that's why it's really more of a self reminder for me. And so I'm glad that it resonates with others as well.
It definitely does. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to have this conversation with us, for being an amazing ambassador here at EXP, an amazing guest, and for helping us, with the Women's Impact Network and really make WIN a movement of empowerment for all leaders within EXP. We're so just thrilled and grateful to be in partnership with you. I'm going to do a final shout out to our series. This series is happening for the month of March, which is Women's History Month. So every Wednesday, we're having WIN Wednesday at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Right here, you'll be able to join in, and we're having various guests over the month sharing their insights and leadership with us. So join us next Wednesday. And in between that, make sure you connect with the Women's Impact Network on Instagram at EXP Women's Impact Network, and join us on Workplace Chat. You can join the Women's Impact Network group there. So Elizabeth, thank you again for joining us, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to see what we all do together.
We've grown 9,000 members in Pride Network over the last 8 months. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't call people out, but call people into action, call people into advocacy.
All of these wonderful women up here, everybody is willing to give back and share to help everybody else grow as well.
I don't know the actual numbers, but we do have a very, very large female presence in our technology team and then across the corporate company.
If you have somebody in your life, like they mentioned yesterday, if they are not supporting you, it is time to cut the dead weight. And the Women's Impact Network here at EXP is cutting dead weight, and we're rising up together and finding our leaders. And as we grow this massive, monumental moment within EXP, I want you all to know that this is the smallest room you will ever be in.